If you could sum up the energy at CJI in one word, like what would it be?
Cocaine.
Welcome to the Combat Creative Podcast, where we explore the heart of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, uncovering its creative, entrepreneurial, and leadership qualities with guests who embody what it means to be a leader in our BJJ community. Now on 3, 1, 2... Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Combat Creative Podcast. I'm your host, Jared, and this past weekend we had the very exciting CJI versus ADCC weekend, and I was going to jump on here and share my thoughts, but I thought my friend Michael from Grapple App was actually there, so I figured why not let's both talk about it. We'll have him on, share what the first-hand experience was like, so stick around. You may enjoy it. Michael, thank you for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Michael, what was the event like?
The event was fantastic. It's very efficient. Yeah, I was impressed. They met a lot of their timelines, and they were very honest that the first day's matches on the website said, we'll run well after midnight. So for the people that were there at 3, I think we were there like 2:30 because they said, 3 o'clock is when it was starting. I think that's correct. Yeah. And sure enough, I think they started around 3:30, and there were just match after match after match after match after match. Coolest thing is that you got to see Nicky Rod essentially change the name and the game. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, it's no longer a rear naked choke. It's a rod naked choke.
Right.
4 in a row to take home $1 million. You get to have that claim to fame.
No, that was definitely incredible. Watching the CJI, so I had no experience watching ADCC anything. Right. So watching CJI, I felt like it was like back to back to back, like main events.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was crazy exciting. I was like, okay. I realized, I can see why people like this over gi. It's a little more fluid. It's quicker. And it was just, for me, as somebody that was new to that side of jiu-jitsu, I really, really liked it.
Right.
It was super cool.
It is super cool. And ADCC and CJI both have a lot to offer, right? ADCC's got prestige, although after this last weekend, Craig Jones and his buddy Seth or whatever, and I guess the big man behind the scenes, and Gabby Garcia, I think that she needs to be really recognized for her almost like reinvention of herself, because, the moment that myself and and Grapple App started advertising that we were going to launch at the CJI, we tagged her in some stuff, and she was so active online. She wrote us like it was her. She deserves a lot of respect because she sold a lot of tickets.
There's a lot of people like me that are new to jiu-jitsu because it's getting so popular. So there's a lot of names we don't know of people. In fact, I remember messaging you, and I'm like, when they announced it, I'm like, who's Gabby Garcia? And you're like, you don't know who Gabby Garcia is? And I'm like, no, I don't know. Is she on Instagram? I don't. So I had to I had no idea who this person was. Yeah. And from all of their promotion interviews were hilarious, I thought.
Seriously, gold.
And then from there, I'm like, okay, next thing you know, I'm looking up highlights and seeing who is this person. And now, there's a whole bunch of people like me that are now familiar with who she is, and she sold a lot of stuff. What was the atmosphere? Well, let's talk about attendance. And it looked like the first day from television, it was kind of low, but by the end of day 2, it looked pretty packed. So what was the attendance like at CJI, day 1, day 2?
Exactly like you said. Nicky Rod was the first match, and so that was rad. But there wasn't as many people as there were, correct, for the super fights on the next day. I don't know if, I will say by the time that we went to grab some dinner late into the evening, it was around 10 o'clock, that the stadium was damn near full.
On day 1?
On day 1. And so, a lot of the people, I think, just took a little bit of time because they did all the over 80 kilogram dudes first, a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And no offense to some of those dudes, but they're just, they're not like a panther.
It wasn't as explosive as the young. I felt like in a lot of those, the lower weight, the smaller weight class, it appeared to be younger guys as well. So that could play into it as well.
That is true, because I'm 100%, I'm 45. I'm only 190, but I'm not the my gas tank isn't the best. So if I held on to you,
well, I mean, I'm the one that was asking Google translate 80 kilos to pounds, because I'm like, I don't know.
Well, the cool thing is one of the Tackett brothers fought Jiao. I can't pronounce the right names very well, but there was like a 60 kilogram difference there.
Sharoka.
Maybe, yeah.
But big guy,
maybe not
huge
60 kilograms, 60 pound difference.
There was there was a 60-pound difference.
So super neat to see.
But I thought his fight was very entertaining. I know. I thought he kind of did. I could have seen it go either way. What was day 2 like compared to day 1?
Electricity, like you got, I think Jocko was there upstairs walking around the beginning. There was Uriah Faber, a bunch of other cats and dogs. It was pretty neat. I was ordering French fries. All of a sudden, I look over and I'm like, okay, that's Chris Williamson. And I was like, all right. Yeah. So I just stuck my hand out and said, hi, my name's Michael. And I like straight up, he just looked at my shirt and he goes, grapple lap. And I was like, that's right. And so it was pretty cool. We just had a little bit of a conversation. It was neat. Same thing with Big Dan, the Jiu-Jitsu giant.
Yeah.
I got in the elevator. Like I saw him from like 100 meters away and I sprinted. So I was like, but and he's like, okay. And so
who's this guy?
Yeah.
Did you see a lot of celebrity type people there?
Let's see. I mean, you got to see Craig was all over the place, and Gabby was there. So those are the people that I think are celebrities. I really wanted to go there and support them specifically, and also the athletes, and be part of history. And then also for my company's sake, look at how we can be part of it next year.
Well, day 2, by the final matches, like the place looked like it was rocking.
It was rocking, man.
There's probably a lot of people that I know a lot of people who went to both events, so that probably helped. They kind of, shifted over there. I saw people add ADCC, but then like bragging about how great the matches were at CJI. So I'm like, oh, I know they were at both. But I mean, what a great weekend for probably jiu-jitsu fans.
I mean, it was epic. It was just simply awesome. And it was neat because even Big Dan was like, hey, we're going to see ADCC tomorrow. And I was like, oh, we're going to be at the CJI. And they were like, cool. It wasn't one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right?
One of my friends who was on this show, he actually, Cole from Gold BJJ, he was there. I saw him on television several times at both events. So what a neat thing to have a jiu-jitsu company and like get to go to a jiu-jitsu event. Here's next year. Next year I'll try to be there. I want to ask about Grapple App in just a second, but I do want to, if you could sum up the energy at CJI in one word, like what would it be?
Cocaine.
Okay, now give me a quick summary. What was it like?
Imagine a bunch of like, it wasn't like this low grade energy. It was like a mid grade buzz everywhere you went. People were super cool. It wasn't like a competition where everybody's getting fired up to go, raw. It was a mutual respect amongst a bunch of hard ass men and women, right?
Even just going to local jiu-jitsu tournaments, that's one thing that I enjoy. I'm in this, arena with so many jiu-jitsu people. Yep. It's not like the people that I'm at when I'm at like American football games or things like that. I'm like, I feel pretty safe in here.
Totally.
So besides the Craig and Gabby match, what are some other event highlights or moments that really kind of stood out from you?
Okay, that's a great question because so many of them, seeing Uriah Faber, who I went to college with at UC Davis 20 some odd years ago, that was really neat. And he asked what I was up to, and I told him, and he was like excited about it. That was pretty cool. I didn't know he was going to be there. He was with Rollbot, which I don't know if you've seen those, but those things are rad. I got a video of him like jumping up and down on this thing. And my buddy Scotty Pelzel, I saw him wrestling it and like tweaking on and doing so that was pretty cool.
Wait, on what?
It's called a Rollbot. Check it out, man.
Like a grappling dummy?
Dude, it looks like Snake Eyes, but it's got like from GI Joe with a red mask LED. It's freaking nuts, man. Okay. But you can like lateral knee bar this thing and like it was very
wild.
It was freaking insane. And so that was the kind of cool thing.
I have a few more questions, but before I get to them, just share, you've mentioned Grapple App. Tell us a little bit about that and why you were there with your team and why you picked CJI maybe over ADCC.
So last time I was here, thank you for having me again, I had launched Space Coast Mobile Jiu-Jitsu. Space Coast Mobile Jiu-Jitsu has since turned into a lead generator for more people that want to do mobile jiu-jitsu, but they just don't know how. So I eventually needed to grow the business, but I couldn't do it just by like training people. So I created Grapple App. Grapple App is my tech bid at scaling by creating a platform for mobile senseis or local dojos to advertise themselves or their school for $49 a month and essentially be found anytime somebody wants to go to Las Vegas and find mobile jiu-jitsu, because I have literally gone to like the JW Marriott and set up jiu-jitsu for people in Orlando. And like, I'm serious, like that's a real thing. Like you can easily get away with it. And we also have a really cool thing. It's we have an open mat registry that if people just want to, like a school wants to put their open mat into it, they don't even have to download or install the app. It's a progressive web app, so you won't find it on Google or iOS.
Okay.
You just go to grappleapp.io. There's no E. And just literally you can search in there for an open mat that's near you, or submit your open mat, and it's the easiest little form in the world, and it'll go right to your school. And as we grow and more people sign up as mobile senseis, we've got almost a dozen. We'll be able to have a lot more reach to people for jiu-jitsu in, economical ways that they've never experienced before. So pretty cool.
And why did you pick CJI over ADCC?
It's interesting, right? Because I have a dog named Gordon Ryan. Probably because CJ...
He does. He does.
He's a wonderful dog. I'm going to just go with the fact that Craig, he seemed a little bit off, and I relate to that.
Are you happy with your choice?
That's it. Yeah. No, honestly, I really did love the advertising for it. And the whole thing with the Miata, like that was there.
Oh my goodness.
And the way that he was, he paid somebody $5,000 to wear the CJI shirt in ADCC and get for the funniest Instagram clip or something like that. And he just, his level was, and the places that he went to, how he got the money, whatever. But, the fact that he plays up, when I became free, I really believe when I accepted my contradictions. Like that's a real thing. Like I recognize, Michael, you'll never be perfect. Right. So just accept it, be yourself. Don't break any laws or do any weird shit, but just be yourself. And I really related to Craig Jones with that, like a lot.
It's like unhinged, controlled, chaos. Like, I mean, I didn't know who a lot of these people were. Like I've had heard of them, but I hadn't followed them like I had for this event.
Right.
So now I'm invested in this drama. I want it when he posts a story. I'm like, I think the thing with following Craig Jones is I never know how much of this is true or not true.
Sure.
I think my favorite part of the whole CJI event, besides the grappling, had to be Renato Laranja.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why, because that's what kind of got me into the event. All the marketing ahead of time. I found that interview that he did with Renato, Gabby, Craig hilarious. I probably watched that interview like 3 times.
Right.
I think he was like the unsung hero of the event, and I didn't even know who this guy was until I was telling one of my friends about this event, and he's like, he's not big on social media. He's a black belt at our gym, but he's like, I didn't know about the event, so I'm telling him, and then he's like, oh, wait, did you say Renato Laranja? You mean the 27-time world champion? And I'm like, yeah, you know who it is? He goes, yeah, I've been around a long time. I used to love his videos back in the day.
Totally.
So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was hilarious. And
he knocked it out of the park.
If they were going to do CJI again as a guest, what would you like to maybe see different or improved?
What I would love to see would be a little bit more of a mix between the heavyweights and the under 80 kilo dudes, and hopefully dudettes next year. I think they're going to do that, and I think they're paying everybody the same, which, I mean, it's like, how can you not get behind that, right? Like, that's just kind of neat. So that would be one thing, was kind of have a smattering of both divisions going at the same time, and maybe that would have drawn some of the crowd that came later in the evening to the early.
Or interchange them.
Correct.
Like, that's what you mean, right? So I think that would be really great, too. And one thing that I really enjoyed about the event was the walls, or they call them the alley.
Yeah.
Because how many times am I watching jiu-jitsu where it goes out of bounds and it stops and then they restart and then if it's gi, now they're tucking it in, tying their belt, and like 30 seconds have passed before the match. I loved how they could take someone down into that and they weren't out of bounds, but they weren't either falling on concrete either, so they were safe.
Yep.
What did you think of the walls?
I thought it was fantastic because, yes, it's ridiculous when you're seeing, people getting power bombed through these tables, in like a hotel conference room, and you're like, oh, but the tray or whatever, the pan, I don't even know what they call it. Karate Combat did a really good job with it, and they came up with it. They might have not even been the first. Probably it was Russians or something like that, but literally, like, it keeps the action going, and it adds a little bit of I think Craig was in Karate Combat.
He was. He threw a submission off it.
He nailed that triangle. That's right, dude. So that's probably why he was like, and he adopted, okay, all right.
Well, I was watching ADCC the next day, and I saw someone get double leg takedown, and they went off the mats, because when you're doing that, you need a lot of power and driving forward. And he went out of bounds, not just out of bounds, he went off the mats. Like, at a huge professional event.
Right.
Now, the announcers were like, oh no, they added more padding. They widened the mats, so when they get taken off, they're more safe. But it didn't matter. The guy still landed on concrete. Yeah. So it was that safety aspect too. These guys can actually go all in and not have to worry about that aspect of the takedown. But
they're so exciting that you don't want them to get injured. Like when you hear about some of these dudes getting injured, you're like, because they're just phenomenal.
Cade Rutolo and Andrew Tackett, what was that like witnessing it at the event live?
It was just, your brain just kind of, you blacked out. It was like Will Ferrell when he was giving that speech, Everybody was locked in.
We blacked out at home.
It was supremely cool. It was really neat to just, knew that like history was being made. It was like, it was super neat.
I really enjoyed that fight. It was so entertaining.
It was.
And then to me, that was almost my finals match.
Well, that's the cool part about the CJI is damn near every fight was somebody in the crowd, like one of their dream fights, matchups. And there was just everybody there was solid. And, there was a little bit of that controversy in the finals, but with Xanadu God, right, and his rubbery legs. But it was an honor to see everybody fight and to express their jiu-jitsu, right? But we've talked about this on cameras. Neither one of us. I don't even know how to pull guard. I'm a black belt, and I honestly don't even know. I think you grab one thing and put your same leg on this, and then you swing. I don't know.
Or you just sit down.
Yeah.
It is wild. Like, it's a huge skill, obviously. I don't think Levi's guard got past one time the whole event, and that is incredible.
Right.
And when you're using it to attack, I think it's entertaining as well. And he did the first 2 rounds. That's why he won them. Nope. But overall, even my son, who's 11 and trains jiu-jitsu, was like, he hasn't seen anybody play guard like that. And he's not familiar with leg attacks. He was like, Dad, this is the finals. This is getting kind of boring. Like what do they do? He was like, the last fight was better. But of course, because it was 2 guys just scrapping it out.
$1 million on the line. You're going to play your game.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Levi was doing. He's playing his game.
100%.
He went it. And respect to him, he had his game plan and he did it. Well, Cade's, I kind of like the showmanship, like kind of walking away. Like, I'm okay with a little bit.
There was a technique to it because watch so much of their action too is they have that, it's a fakie, right? And they do the back, it's almost like a back handspring. I can't forget. The way that you actually get to a backflip, you can back handspring, and it's
wild.
Yeah, I mean, if I did that, you'd see me in a sling on my elbow, my shoulder.
As somebody who wants to see jiu-jitsu keep growing in America, I want to see more competitions where athletes are paid well. And I'm not going to act like I understand the business of combat sport events.
Right.
And I don't know how he got that money. But I'm glad he did, and I'm glad he put on that event.
Totally.
And I'm super glad to see those athletes getting paid. And even the super fights. What did you think of this super fight?
Mackenzie was, she's amazing, but she just lost in every way. I think she recently won an MMA fight.
Yeah, she did 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. And I was
Dude, she's incredible. Her dad's a legend. She's a legend.
Yep.
But
I was with Scott, and somebody he mentioned. I was like, and he said, yeah, but her training was her camp has been different than old girls.
Fions.
Yeah, I always want to.
I don't. She's got 2 F's in her. Is it spelled with 2 F's? Is it spelled with 2 F's or is Instagram just 2 F's?
I don't know. It's a mind. I've been dinged a few times. So
I mean, she's incredible too.
She absolutely put on, and Mackenzie in her true fashion. She was a class act, and I think she's already promoting her next fight or something like that. But it was a ragdolling that was supremely cool. Yeah. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you got it. You're good. Should CJI have a women's division next year?
I believe they're aiming to, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do 16 and 16, maybe like a 4-4 or maybe 8-8 or something like that. But I would definitely consider that more value to them because it's like with my Jiu-Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind. I'm trying really hard to get us more female representation in.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's important for us to have a female voice in jiu-jitsu because for so many years we were male dominated, right? And we still essentially are. But now we have these $150,000 super fight for a female.
Did they say what they got paid?
It was like $150, the super fight.
Because I remember watching some of Fion's YouTube videos leading up to it, and I didn't see where she said the price. I was wondering what she got paid.
I'm fairly certain it was $150,000. That's a ton of money.
That's a ton of money.
Absolutely. That is a life-changing quiche right there.
I think she said she would have, what would she have gotten if she won ADCC again?
It was like 500.
Yeah,
I have no clue.
10,
10 maybe.
I did see one of the guys who lost, the guy who lost to Nicky Rodriguez in the first match, the guy who got rear naked choked over the, he put up a reel the next day when it's ADCC finals, guys. And all those people who made it to that point, I guess, were getting paid $10,000. Mm-hmm. And he's like, man, I lost day one and I made $10,001. I made more money than these guys on day 2.
That's funny. And that's good. I guess there's a little bit of competition, but if I was wrong on any of those numbers, please don't hold me accountable for that.
We're just 2 dudes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the event. I'm looking forward to the next one. It left me hunger to watch more no-gi grappling, submission grappling. I don't know that I want to learn it. I have been going to a few classes since I last met with you. Maybe I try to go to 2 a month.
Nice.
But the only thing that freaks me out is the leg attacks. Anytime one of those guys got a heel or a leg, I couldn't look at the TV. I couldn't look. I don't know what it is. I can't stand seeing a knee get.
It's pretty nasty, but most people these days are pretty cool because I think the general consensus is if you're a real jerk that you're going to get called out early these days, and you're probably not going to have many friends or to people train with, and you can pick and fight who you want to choose. And if you're that guy, people will shy away from you. Or the person that's going to break that freaking dude's leg, shows up, and you're like, oh shit, there's more levels to this.
Yeah,
I'm a black belt. I get it. There's levels to this.
Do you think the CJI has potential to continue to be a big event and or ever be bigger than ADCC?
I do. I really do. I think that it absolutely has steam and momentum. It's got the buzz. And I mean, I want to be a sponsor. Grapple App wants to. And, we want to do things like we're making a $500 donation to the Fair Fight Foundation on behalf of Grapple App. So these are things that I want to participate in because the event, I know it was important to me, and I had a wonderful time with my wife too, right? She came with me, and it was just great to have my wife, who's been really cool with UFC for a long time. She only liked jiu-jitsu when it was Clark Gracie, teaching her something. I think we've talked about this before. So damn handsome.
CJI 2025, should it be the same weekend as ADCC?
I mean, I got to see some cool people. I ran into Big Dan, right? That was in Franco. That was supremely neat to see them at the same time. And there were people like you had mentioned that had dual tickets and they were doing the same thing because it was on Sunday as well.
As a fan, I think that'd be kind of awesome to be able to go to both events in the same weekend. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, I think they're going to continue to do that. I just hope that.
I think competition's good.
Sure. Totally. That's why with mobile jiu-jitsu, people are like, oh, what happens when people start, imitating you? And I'm like, that's the goal. That's entirely what I want. Jiu-jitsu everywhere.
jiu-jitsu everywhere.
Seriously.
Well, I think we're going to get to that point, but
it's becoming mainstream. Dude, it was on like, bigger news channels, this thing about, man versus woman. And then Gabby, she's a big girl, right? And then there's Craig, comes out and strips into his...
That was hilarious.
I was like, dude.
I mean, it was, I didn't know how much, but the Craig and Gabby stuff, I didn't know how much of it was real or a joke or satire. I think that was the whole point. They knew what they were doing and they did it well. But at the end, when it got over, it was almost like wholesome. She almost started crying, and then he really kind of like honored her with, she gave up her Hall of Fame to do that. And it was like this really cool, respectful moment between like the joking was aside.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a good moment.
They put on a great event that brought together a bunch of people. I know I got to meet some really neat people, even just in the stands. And, people were installing Grapple app during the thing and using it. So that was really cool too.
So plug it real quick. Let people know how they can find out more about Grapple app.
Go to grappleapp.io, GRAPPLAPP.io. I don't like E's. And I don't know why. But yes, Grapple app. There it is. Or find us on Instagram. But super simple. We just want to provide value to people. And it's a progressive web app. So if there's something that you're like, yo, these guys need to fix this, or you think about this idea, literally submit a support ticket and we'll get it and we can make things happen like that.
In traveling, if you've ever wondered how to find out about open mats in the area, this is a good way to do it. Yeah. So if you want to get your gym on there, you can just go on and
that's right,
enter it. The more people that do that, the more it's going to grow. I think I even know a few people in Vegas were like, oh, actually, I'm here. I want to train. Mm-hmm. I have all this energy from watching jiu-jitsu. Now I want to go do jiu-jitsu. They were able to jump on Grapple app and actually find an open mat in town.
That is absolutely correct. 100% accurate.
Yeah. So if your gym that you either own or attend does like a free open mat, jump on Grapple app, submit it so you could be added to the registry so more people can find out about it. Sounds good?
It's super cool. Thank you, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. And guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all of you. With all the podcasts you could be listening on the internet, the fact that you took time out of this day to watch this one, we really appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Go like and subscribe. Peace.